and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Annalise Poorman. At the Bloomington City Council meeting on February 14th, Councilmember Sydney Zulik announced that she will be holding a town hall meeting about combating homelessness in Monroe County. The town hall will take place on March 2nd at 10 a.m. in the McCloskey Conference Room.
Experts in our community are invited to come and talk about productive solutions and concrete solutions for both long-term solutions and short-term. And I would also like, since our lovely mayor is here, like to extend the invitation to the mayor's administration as well as all of my fellow council members and the public. I'm really hoping that we can walk away with not necessarily a concrete plan, but a good idea of different ways that we can work together to combating like such a serious issue. So thank you.
Mayor Carrie Thompson shared that the First United Methodist and First Christian churches will begin providing shelter for unhoused individuals during inclement weather.
This shelter is targeted primarily to people who have real medical needs and women who can't go anywhere else. So those will be prioritized, and they'll only be sheltering up to 20 people a night.
Next, City Clerk Nicole Bolden read the title and synopsis for Ordinance 2024-01, which would amend a section of City Code titled Streets, Sidewalks, and Storm Sewers.
Ordinance 2024-01 to amend Title 12 of the Bloomington Municipal Code entitled Streets, Sidewalks, and Storm Sewers regarding amending various chapters to update references to the city engineer, to update references to the comprehensive plan and transportation plan, to amend language about trees and vegetation in Chapter 12.24, and using this occasion to make typographical and grammatical updates. The synopsis is as follows. This ordinance amends Title 12, Streets, Sidewalks, and Storm Sewers of the Bloomington Municipal Code and comes forth at the request of city staff. The ordinance makes the following changes. Replaces references to the city's transportation and traffic engineer with city engineer. Capitalizes department names, for example, Department of Public Works, board and commission names, for example, Board of Public Works, and legal document names, for example, comprehensive plan, transportation plan, etc. It removes references to his or her and replaces it with their. It removes references to the thoroughfare plan and its associated effective date and replaces them with references to the transportation plan and its associated effective dates. It makes various other updates, including grammatical and typographical corrections, and revises Bloomington Municipal Code Chapter 12.24, Trees and Flora, to add or amend standards for appropriate tree protection, update terminology, and add relevant definitions.
The city's long-range planner, Karina Pazos, gave a presentation to the council on the ordinance.
The changes will address issues that have come to staff's attention through public requests, commissions, recommendations, or departmental changes. General grammatical revisions are proposed throughout all the chapters of Title 12, and here are some examples of those. Like the synopsis, just capitalizing department names, board and commission names, legal document names, changing all instances of his or her to their, and beyond these general revisions, the rest of the proposed changes could be reviewed into 3 different sections. So the first section covers chapters 12.06, 12.10, and 12.12. And those are meant to clarify the fact that the engineering department has separated from the planning and transportation department, as well as update provisions that specify what information must be included in notices of violations. And then the second section covers chapter 12.20, and that just proposes to update references to the city's previous thoroughfare plan to instead refer to the transportation plan that was adopted in 2019 and includes the thoroughfare plan. And then the last section just covers Chapter 12.24, and this amends language related to the care of trees and vegetation. It inserts a new section, which is 12.24.075, and that's all I have. So happy to answer any questions, and staff from Parks and Recreation is also here to answer questions.
Councilmember Hopi Strasburg made a motion to amend the ordinance. Strasburg explained the amendments.
Yeah, there were just two places that I found that there were still issues. There was one place that the transportation or traffic was still mentioned and needed to be replaced with city engineer. And then there was a small grammatical error that occurred because of a change. So we had to take an S off of fines to make it fined.
The council voted 8-0 to approve the ordinance as amended. During the February 13th meeting of the Bloomington Board of Public Works, the board heard lane and sidewalk closure requests from the Atlantic Engineering Group, or AEG. The temporary closures would be used to continue installing the city's planned fiber optic network. Engineering field specialist Alex Gray walked through the lane and sidewalk closure requests.
Hi, this is Alex Gray from engineering. So AEG is back with their kind of routine that we've had for the past year now. This time they have 3 project areas that they plan to bring forward to you. One of them is from a past, that was supposed to go to a past meeting and then has been pulled because we were having conversations about conflicts with the Beeline extension project. And then kind of a similar thing with Pine Street, which is the next one. We are also having continue conversations with them about the Adams Street project. That's the sidewalk closure that's supposed to happen. And so we just wanted to make sure that those were all ironed out, and they are now. And so to make sure that it's known of kind of where these are, Crescent Road does not really include Crescent Road. It's kind of more that neighborhood area, but it is from West 17th Street to Adams Street, and then Highway 37 or I-69. And then it'll be West Gray Street as well from the south up. I kind of did it a little bit backwards there. For North Pine Street, it is West Bloomfield Road to West 9th, and this South Landmark Avenue to Elm Street or South Walker. And then that one, they have a note to make sure that they're in coordination with us when they move forward, just because there's going to have a closure for a very long time and we don't want to cause additional problems. So that's what the kind of the note there is. And then the final one is West Countryside Lane, all the way up Rockport and then South Rogers toward Patterson Drive and Grimes, and then over onto West Allen and Catalan area.
Board Secretary James Roach asked if Gray would give some background on the city's high-speed fiber network initiative. Gray responded. Then Public Works Director Adam Wason clarified more details on the project as a whole.
So this is the fiber optic project, and these are temporary closures, is that correct?
Yes. They go through in a neighborhood and it's kind of like a rolling closure, for lack of a better word. So you'll see them in like one section of the neighborhood, and then maybe the next day they'll be a little bit further down, and it kind of goes through that neighborhood. So it's not like they're closing the whole area for the 4-week period that we kind of estimate for each one.
With the way they've done signage and directed traffic and things like that.
If there is any trouble that comes up, we notify them, and then they will go out there with their inspectors and get it fixed for us. So.
James, I'll just note on with your question. So the lane and sidewalk closure requests from AEG are part of the larger citywide fiber project that is part of the Hoosier Fiber Networks and the Gigabit Now project. We also have other fiber installers that often are coming to us for other lane and sidewalk closure requests. That could be AT&T or any other number of fiber optic providers.
The board approved the lane and sidewalk closures unanimously. At the Monroe County Council meeting on February 13th, Soil and Water Conservation District Manager Martha Miller gave an update on the ongoing soil and water conservation projects.
We are celebrating 80 years of Monroe County Conservation. That's pretty exciting.
So as I'm digging through the archives and records to prepare for this monumental event, I come across some interesting information. One was that since 2013, Monroe County Soil and Water and our federal and state partners have put $6,242,257 of conservation on the ground through private landowners. So that's working with private individuals since 2013. Our request for assistance continues to grow. We're flooded. Our federal partners are flooded. So it just continues to grow, but it's exciting to know that this is happening out there. One of those things that we do is watershed work. We have an interactive map on our website, in case you want to see it, of how it works with the watersheds. Everybody knows about Friends of Lake Monroe and, kind of the awesome stuff that they're doing, but all the other watersheds affect drinking water as well. So we currently are in the planning stages with Bean Blossom. We just got the approval and the go-ahead from IDEM on that one. Woo! So if we have anybody who wants to be a stakeholder, let me know. Lower Salt Creek, which is where the water from the lake drains into. Lawrence County Soil and Water has that one, but we're partnering with them. We're going to be doing all we can to help the agricultural and urban small farm ag community in that watershed. And then IDEM has guaranteed us that in 2025, because we also applied for Indian Creek, which is in the southern part of the county, we're the headwaters of that small watershed, but because they were doing a TMDL, they asked us if we would hold off 1 year, and they've guaranteed us implementation funding as we plan that watershed as well.
Councilmember Pete Iverson asked for clarification on a term Miller used when explaining an Indiana Department of Environmental Management project.
When you're talking about the IDEM project, you used an acronym TMDL. Could you explain that for us?
Sure. Total maximum daily load is they will pull water samples once a month for 12 months, and then they will pull them at least twice, I think it is, after high velocity encounters, and they're measuring the total maximum daily load of nutrients. So the number one pollutant in Indiana waters by volume is sediment. And that's an issue that we have statewide. And because Indian Creek was impacted so significantly by I-69, IDEM has done TMDLs on most other watersheds in the state, but that's one they hadn't. And so that's one that they're looking at what's polluting those waters. Is it high phosphorus rates, high nitrogen rates, sediment? Is it killing the dissolved oxygen for the wildlife? Whatever. So that's what IDEM will be doing.
Great, thank you.
Next, Sheriff Ruben Marte gave an update on the jail and the work that they've been doing to translate their policies into Spanish with the help of Bloomington Outreach Coordinator Jimena Martinez.
As you know, when we first took over, the chief and I and the jail commander sat down and tried to decide what do we need to do quickly, what do we need to do to make things fair in the actual jail. And one of the things that came up was for our Latino residents in there. The reason why I bring that up is because we provide each inmate with a handbook, do's and don'ts while you're in that facility, okay? And to be fair, we didn't have one in Spanish. And we knew for a fact that was going to be a major undertaking to translate that verbiage into Spanish, okay? Because you got different dialects. So when we took over, we reached out to a person by the name, I really want to give her a shout out and a very big thank you, because without her, I wouldn't be able to say this tonight to you. So her name is Jimena Martinez. She is a Latino Outreach Coordinator for the Community and Family Resources Division for the City of Bloomington. So when we reached out to her, she was more than gracious to say, yes, I would do it. We knew we needed to give her some time to do that, to do it right, correctly. So we could sit in front of you and say, hey, we got this accomplished. But I really want to thank her because it took us some months. Now, that's on top of her responsibility to what she does for the city, okay? So for her to do this, it took a lot of her efforts, and I personally want to thank her tremendously because this was a major deal for us to get this done. I don't think I don't think Monroe County Sheriff ever has it done before in the past. So this is the first time for all of us. So it's a major hurdle, major success story for us to be able to provide residents that speak Spanish and don't understand English their policy for the jail process. So with that being said, again, to Jimena Martinez, thank you so much for helping the Monroe County Sheriffs out and the citizens of Monroe County.
Councilmember Jennifer Crossley followed up, asking how many inmates are in need of the translation. Marte responded.
Just for us to understand the scope of how that really affects the inmates, can you tell us approximately the percentage of population of Latino inmates that we currently have?
It's a small percentage.
Okay.
It really is. But to be fair, how do you have someone follow the rules if they don't know what the rules are? And then we have people that speak Spanish in the facility, but how do we make sure that they understand and they receive the information in a timely manner? So for us, this is really a big deal for us because it is a small percentage, but it's still something that needed to be done. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that, and thank you for the work on that.
Councilor Hawk.
Next, the council heard a request to appoint Dr. Lisa Hanner Robinson to the Monroe County Board of Health. Councilmember Trent Deckard commented on the application.
Securing great people to serve on boards and commissions is a hard work. We need more people doing the good job that Dr. Robinson will do. And it's just, we're lucky for people that come forward. And I was delighted to see her application come through. I remember seeing it come through, I think about at 10:42 p.m. at night. And we were talking the next morning. And so, Doctor, we know your service will be notable and great. We appreciate very much you stepping forward to do this.
Hanner Robinson spoke to the council about why she applied for the position.
Thank you, council members, for your vote of confidence today. I'm very excited to become the newest member of the Board of Health. I did apply for this position twice, once in May of 2023 and did not hear anything, and decided 2 weeks ago to pursue this again, and persistence does pay off. I'm a graduate of Indiana University School of Medicine. I'm a board-certified family physician with 24 years experience. I have treated thousands of patients. I have thousands of patient visits per year. I have interactions with those patients, and they also bring concerns to me as constituents. I have my finger on the pulse of our community, and am ready to serve. As you know, the Indiana legislature in 2023 passed Senate Bill 4, and Monroe County received $1,577,217. In 2024, Monroe County will most likely opt in for Health First funds in the amount of $3 to $4 million for 2025. As a doctor and scientist with a business acumen, my mission is to work with the board members to ensure that every dollar of these monies is well spent. Our public health programs have to be the most robust possible. There is much work to be done. Priorities for 2024 are to identify how to meet the requirements for Senate Bill 4. Salaried positions make up a large portion of this budget. Defining job descriptions for each position, gathering data to assess where our needs are, and processing data to create the required reports for the state are all crucial tasks that we must accomplish relatively quickly. Monroe County's public health programs are in transition and will also need to have staffing expansion proposals ready to secure the funds for 2025. I believe in people power to make positive change. We can work together to accomplish this.
The council voted unanimously to approve the appointment. At the Bloomington Utilities Service Board meeting on February 12th, Capital Projects Manager Dan Hudson requested approval for Wessler Engineering to provide an asset management capital improvement plan for the Monroe Water Treatment Plant.
I'd like the board to consider Wessler study to do an asset management improvement plan and a capital improvement plan for the Monroe Water Treatment Plant for $230 $32,000. The project will basically rank all of the major pieces of equipment by risk of failure and potential of failure for each one and give us a score. They will also develop a capital improvement plan for the major items that need repair, not in addition to the plant, but for repair of the plant. They're going to give us costs, construction costs, and the study will be used primarily for the upcoming rate study that's going to happen this year.
The board unanimously approved the contract with Wessler Engineering. Later in the meeting, pre-treatment coordinator Jason Wenning gave an update on the wastewater monitoring program.
We started back in June of 2020 monitoring wastewater for SARS-CoV-2 virus, and we've continued that program since then, and since then we've expanded out a little bit. We're currently part of 3 different programs doing wastewater sampling. One's with a company called Verily, their program Wastewater Scan, which is in conjunction with Emory and Stanford. We're collecting for them from our Dillman plant 4 times a week. They've expanded from COVID to, we are up to 6 different diseases or viruses that they're looking for now, and we're reporting that to them 4 times a week. We're getting results back generally within a week on those. We're contributing to the State Department of Health. They have a sampling program as well that is in conjunction with the CDC News program, which has been the main repository for all these COVID samples since the program began. And their program is just COVID at this point. We're submitting there twice a week from both the Dillman and Blucher plants. And then we're also continuing our partnership with Dr. Greaves' lab at IU. We're collecting samples for him twice a week from 4 different sites around the city. And we're getting those analyzed for SARS-CoV-2, influenza, and RSV. At this point. And I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has about the program.
The next Bloomington Utilities Service Board meeting will be held on February 26th. At their meeting on February 12th, the Ellettsville Town Council approved a motion to amend Salary Ordinance 23-18 after a debate surrounding an overtime pay clause that led to the clause being struck. The clause authorized time-and-a-half overtime pay for employees working more than 8-hour workdays. Councilmember William Ellis called the clause into question, noting that non-government employees do not have the same policy. The state of Indiana only requires time-and-a-half compensation when someone works more than 40 hours per week.
That's not the way it works in the real world. And, I mean, for the utilities, I can understand as an incentive. But everybody else, I don't know why they're covered under this 8-hour day thing.
Town manager Mike Farmer responded that the policy was enacted around 1999 to incentivize utilities employees to come in for emergencies after hours. He suggested that it might be possible to reword the clause to focus specifically on such situations.
We could change the wording and try to manipulate the words to make sure it's just for call-outs for snow and main breaks and after-hour emergencies, but that's the intent of it anyways, after-hour emergencies. So it would be frowned on to just call somebody in just so they could get paid time and a half like clerical staff.
Councilmember Scott Oldham mentioned that the current policy bars police and firefighters from receiving overtime pay, especially when they take personal time off work. He thinks that the policy should be made equal for all city employees.
And if it's going to be good for all of them, why would it not be good for the entire town? Or why don't we go back to the reverse system? And this is where we get ourselves into, that William's pointing out, is we've got different circumstances for different groups of people. And again, the adage of, hey, I took off Tuesday because it was 45 and I had to do stuff around the house. Oh no, all of a sudden we got this snowstorm that came up, and Saturday night I got 9 inches worth of snow. but you don't get the overtime for 9 inches of snow, but you get an hour and a half worth of overtime for a meeting you knew was coming up at the end of the month. Again, I'm not faulting you for that, and I'm not trying to take that away from you, but we can't continue to have that system that's twofold. It's either got to be one or the other, or we have to line out the personnel policy who's eligible for overtime and who's not, and under what circumstances.
The council ultimately decided to strike the clause from the salary ordinance amendment, instead moving it to the personnel policy. The salary ordinance amendment passed unanimously after removal of the clause and approving a clause that ensures time and a half overtime pay for exceeding 40 hours in a week. And that is all for CATSweek. Thank you for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Annalise Poorman.